I paint using coffee on century-old ledger papers. It started because I found these ledger pages from my great-great-grandparents' rural store. They sold some weird stuff. Possum skin, which I don't know what you do with possum skin. I just saw the character and the context, the historical context that it brought to the work, and I was like, I have to try and play around with this. I love using the paper because as I'm painting on it, I feel like I'm interacting with my great-great-grandparents, because as I'm painting, I see that's their handwriting. You kind of get a glimpse into the daily lives of what was happening in 1937 or 1920s in their store. And so I feel like in a way I'm interacting with them, and they're starting the piece and I'm finishing it. So it started with the old paper. And I tried using watercolor, I tried using different things, and coffee just melts into the history of the pages. It just worked the best, so that's what stuck. Yeah, the coffee I use is a very special blend from Trader Joe's, so it's really, very exotic. And yeah, I just brew it extremely strong. Yeah, it's like almost like sludge. If you were to drink this, you'd be awake for a week or something, yeah. So it's just really strong, and then I'll water it down for, the shading on the face. I first started painting with coffee in 2012 after I got back from a trip to Thailand. We were living in Thailand, working in an orphanage and painting pictures of the kids. And so I started right when I got back from there because I loved the culture of the Thai people, but I was gone for 2.5, 3 months. So when I got back, I really wanted to connect to my own heritage here in East Tennessee through my art form. I love this piece. It's one of my newest pieces, so I feel like as artists, our newest piece we always think is the best. This piece just hits me right in the gut. In the past, I've really had a heart for inner city youth and, in Thailand, working with disadvantaged youth. So this piece actually came from a street art piece I made in Thailand, where I was working with this kid. He was just so happy, and he had like nothing. His parents had passed away in his little village, and he had all these things thrown at him, which is the symbolism of all these horrible things shot at him, which is symbolism of the arrows. And he was still happy, and he was still there, and he was still this strong guy. I played around with a lot of different art forms in college, from abstract to, whatever. What I always loved was the human element. I was never really interested in making art that existed just for its own sake. I loved how it connected with people, which led me to do street art in 15 different countries around the world and travel with it and work with different communities, and also with the portraits and the subject matter I use. I think people can connect with portraits. It's not a very elegant way to describe it, but I refer to them as Frankensteins. I think they're more attractive than Frankensteins, but they're kind of different people pieced together. So they don't really exist. Sometimes they're real people, and I just paint them as I take the picture and from people I know, but most of the time they're like 3 people put together. Art's taken me to 15 different countries, and I've done shows in Rome, Italy, Paris, France, LA, all over. A lot of it's been through doing public art around the world, through street art, but also getting invited to different exhibitions for the coffee paintings and just to exhibit. There's a piece that it was like a 6-foot tall painting, and it was exhibited in France. And that started the whole French market for me. I went over there for an exhibition, a group exhibition. And there was like 50 artists there, so it was a huge exhibit in an old hot air balloon factory. It was really cool. We went, and then not expecting anything, and then it exploded with all these galleries wanting to work with us, getting representation in France. So it was that one 6-foot tall piece that really it was actually, they made it the centerpiece of the show. I'd say that piece was really a breakthrough piece. And you never know, when you're painting on it, you're like thinking every 30 minutes, oh, this isn't gonna work out, Wherever I go with the art, wherever the art takes me, or wherever I travel, I'm always kind of anchored and I'm always drawn back to East Tennessee. And I was born and raised here. I just love the mountains, you know, I think the mountains always draw you back. But just the culture and my family heritage here, and I just love East Tennessee. With this artwork, it always gives me an opportunity to talk to different people about, you know, East Tennessee and this region because the paper comes from here. The context of the work is just intrinsically anchored here. When I look through the pages of the books, there's a lot of family names that I recognize from where my grandparents, my mom have told me that these are family names like King, Eads, Russell. I can look and see, you know, that's my great-great-grandmother. It's a tactile connection to them because it's also their handwriting oftentimes. Once you start realizing the dates and what's going on historically, it gives a whole different context to the work and what you're painting on top of it. And that's what I love when people, you know, when I show in France or when I show around the world, what I love is just watching people come up to the work and you can read all the different things that were written on the pages and you can see where it's from and you can see the year. And I think it just really draws an audience in. I create art with it and then it's sold around the world. I mean, this paper is now being framed up in Australia. I just shipped a piece off to Bangkok last week. And a lot of work is sold to France. So there's people in these, I don't know, whatever, French chateau, is that a thing? You know, they have like my work up in there, my work in this paper up in their home. The way I see it is it's not too hard to let it go because in a way it's actually being preserved more through this art form than if it were just left in that old store.